Hi, welcome back to the Easy Motion Studio. So glad that you're here. Um, Today we do another on the go kind of video. This time, instead of driving the car, I am taking a walk. And what I'm doing while taking a walk is talking about it. Um, and it is the kind of overarching topic of playing the human instrument, what it is and how it works, and how it came to be the topic of the book. So I hope you enjoyed this segment, and we'll be back with you in a little bit. Bye bye. Hi, Steve Seberg again, doing another episode of Playing the Human Instrument. But today I'll be taking my thoughts out for a walk, and I'm inviting you to come along. Had a good meeting with a friend today, and I spent most of the time reviewing with him a basic outline of the book you're helping me write. And I suppose I ought to get to the two stories that kind of underlie the whole book, that are the kind of big question that the book is addressing. And that is the story of little Stevie, which is me, with a memory I have of my early life, and a memory I have from more than, nearly 40 years ago. So, the first story deals with me when I was approximately a little over 2 years old. So I have a memory of waking up in the morning and standing up on my bed in order to be able to look out through a screened window. And as I recall it, it was a warm, early summer day, and a breeze was blowing through, and there were the usual outdoor sort of noises, birds. I don't know if there were lawnmowers or if there was neighborhood chatter, but it was alive. And what I recall thinking, excuse me, so I gotta be careful here, vehicle heading my way, and don't want to get run over by the cleaners delivering or picking up laundry or whatsoever they pick up these days. But I remember, once again, little Stevie looking out the window. I remember being filled with glee. Just an excitement washed over me. And the thought that comes to mind that I was thinking at the time was, it's happening again. It is happening again. Well, that was the world. The world was happening. Of course, I was happening too. I was there for that world, that fresh air, that delightful feeling of a summer morning. And it was just the excitement of being alive. Story number one, little Stevie. Story number two is not quite so pleasant. I'll pause here while the UPS driver delivers the goods. And there's always goods. I'm being quiet so as not to disturb the UPS driver. That philosophy could be happening freely on the streets of this suburban neighborhood. If it can happen here, it can happen anywhere. Anyway, we're beyond the truck and hopefully the hearing of the driver. And I am walking uphill, so if my speech sounds a little labored, it's only because it is. So, here we are. And what is going on in this second story? I was 35 years old at the time, and I was visiting the hospital bedside of my father, Don, who was a little less than a month shy of being 58 years old. So he was still 57 at the time. And it was our final conversation before he passed. And my dad said to me, I didn't think it would turn out this way. And that was a pretty grim remark. I mean, not that his situation wasn't dire. I mean, he'd gone through the ravages of pancreatic cancer over the prior 3.5 years, with some recovery, some quasi-normal life, able to actually return to his job, and actually probably 6 months before, he and I had played 9 holes of golf together, and but the cancer returned and he was about to go. So he said I didn't think it would turn out this way. And I read maybe more into it than what he meant, but I kind of took the remark to mean that he had lived his life in a way he thought was appropriate. He had followed the rules, worked hard, he had did his best to do his best, and he didn't get the rewards that were due him for that kind of living. It, which I am now taking to be the same it that little Stevie was experiencing, it had turned out to be a fraudulent promise. He was hoodwinked. He had lived by the rules of society, and society didn't give him back what he told him was due him on their part of the bargain. So, the big issue here, the thing I want to address in the book, is what happened. Why was Dad's it such a dismal thing and Stevie's so marvelous? We could easily say, and truthfully say, that 2-year-old was naive. But it doesn't mean to say that he wasn't honest and accurate in what he perceived and what he felt. Likewise with Dad. I mean, he was certainly of an age not to be naive, and he always thought of himself as a very practical realist, pragmatic. He and I would often get into sometimes heated discussions where he was trying to talk me out of my idealism and my impracticalities. I mean, after all, here his boy had gone to college, which he didn't have the opportunity to do. I should have been able to find myself a really good, high-paying job, but instead I had chosen to become a philosopher, and kind of worse than that, I had, excuse me, I'm going downhill. It's probably more distracting with the bouncing of the camera than it ought to be. But here I had taken a job as a life insurance salesman, and as he told me from time to time, he didn't believe in insurance, and he certainly didn't have too high a opinion of salesmen. So I was not a good example of what he held to be the proper path for success in life. But anyway, he was not naive, and yet was he accurate? Did he have the whole story? Did he really have a privileged view on the truth? And the way he lived, was it such as to state that we can dismiss the perception of the 2-year-old and correct it with the rather dismal view of the dying 57-year-old? Well, spoiler alert, I think the 2-year-old had more on the ball than my dad did, I'm sorry to say. And, not that my dad wasn't duped by a society that holds to be the highest ideals things that are not that high nor that ideal, but he missed out on many opportunities. Although, to be fair, he certainly had his moments of bliss too, and I don't mean to belittle them, but I think he could have had a better view as he faced his demise and undertaken a more celebratory recovery of what he did have in life. And it might have made sense of his difficulties at the end, and in some ways justified them, or at least justified his life. Not to dismiss it as somehow being a ruse or being not what was promised. So those are the two stories, Stevie and Don, and what I hope to accomplish by this book of ours. I'm giving you credit for being a helper, an assistant, a co-author in a kind of spurious way of the playing of the human instrument. So I think, or I'm trying to say, or I'm trying to show, demonstrate that it's possible to play the human instrument in a way that will wind up differently than life wound up for Dad. That more of Stevie can come to life for all of us who choose to do so. I don't know about you, but I didn't ask to be born. And I don't think I plan on determining when or how my life will end, although I'm pretty sure that it will. But I've been given, as we will look at again and again, I've been given a particular purview, which is both the world as it displays itself, that vast area that surrounds us, but I've also been given the wherewithal to bring it into play, and I needn't be played indiscriminately by the forces of that world as if they somehow had total authority over how I express myself and how I choose to engage that orb of potential significance that I am capable, if I pay attention, I'm capable of influencing and encouraging, allowing many moments of bliss to become the key elements of the story of my life. So when my day comes, I won't have to say, I didn't think it would happen like this. But I'm glad that it happened to me. It happened with you. It happened with a musicality that transcends the merely tonal and oral, but is the general flavor of my life, that it was a good life to have happened. So, I think that's all for the philosophy part of this walk. I'm going to turn the camera off and finish the walk listening to music rather than a lecture on Heidegger, which is also in my phone and available at the ready. But I think the instrumental music will fit my mood better right now than Heidegger on death, which is the lecture I'm up to in the podcast series, Heidegger by Simon Critchley. I recommend it to you if you're interested in Heidegger. It's I don't think it's totally on the mark, but I don't know that anything would be totally on the mark with that book. It's too big and broad to sum up. And here I'm having my earthquake kind of downhill jerking of the camera, so adios. See you later. Well, there you have it. Two versions of it. One from the naive perspective of little Stevie, and two from the disconsolate, resigned vision of Don as he left the world. Hopefully we can help everyone, myself included, find more it's that look like Stevie's, and that our lives will not wind up like Don's. So there it is. Thanks for joining me again, and thanks again for helping me write this book. Be well. Bye-bye.